Power Rangers got 2 seasons under its belt. Ranger was a mess to adapt from, but did MMPR Season 3 learn from its mistakes? Yes and no. This time around, Season 3 is adapting from Sentai Season 18, Ninja Sentai Kakuranger. While the production is still stuck with using the Ranger suits, they're open in using more elements from Kakuranger, but that doesn't mean Season 3 was a cakewalk. They have the problem with having 6 Rangers at the start. The first thing they had to do was get rid of the Thunder Zords. By this point, MMPR had to start filming more original Zord footage, with them combining all these Sentai seasons. Unlike with Ranger, Kakuranger luckily went back to monster suits for their main villains, so they incorporated leader Daimao and Junior into MMPR as Master Vile and Rito Revolto, loosely taking their original story elements. Daimao and Junior are son and father, and made them Rita's family. Thanks to them, the Thunder Zords were destroyed, severely damaging their Power Morphers' connection to the grid, forcing them to abandon them. When I first saw this season opener, I was sad that the Thunder Zords were lost. Probably everyone's moment you can remember with Kim is her screaming, but I was happy that the powers were gone. I was hoping to see new suits, and then it didn't happen. But when I saw what Kakuranger had in their season, I was more angry. Kakuranger gave MMPR connections all over the place on a silver platter, but they still didn't want to change the suits. The closest we got was the ninja suits. What do I mean by connections? The changer in this season is called the Doran changer. It wasn't used in MMPR or by the Alien Rangers. Its design heavily reuses elements from the Dino Buckler. Each Ranger has a medal and has lights in a round red area. It was perfect for a natural progression between the 2 seasons. For the Kakurangers to transform, they pull out their Doran changer with their right hand, saying their activation line. Super Henge, raising the changer up with both arms, then bringing it back down, saying the last of the line, Doran changer, then pressing the lower button. With the Alien Ranger morph, the only gesture they kept was lifting up their right hand and saying, it's morphin' time. Since MMPR stuck with the old suits, they made new minions for Master Vile, the Tenga Warriors. They decided to not use the original minions from Kakuranger, which are called the Dorodoros. One of the bigger issues they had to deal with was Tommy. Kakuranger doesn't have a 6th Ranger, but again, luckily, Kakuranger created Zords that worked out in MMPR's favor, but they had to do a lot of finagling with the footage. In Season 3, the Rangers had to find Ninjor, the original creator of the Power Coins, to restore their powers. Ninjor does exist in Kakuranger. Ninja Man's original story, he was an aide to the Zords. In Kakuranger, all the Zords are alive. He was sealed away in his vase because he screwed up and let humans get attacked by the yokai, the monster group they use in Kakuranger. What they had to do with Kakuranger's footage, they used it backwards. Kakuranger had Tsubasa Maru, which became Tommy's Ninja Falcon Zord. So all the footage from the second half of Kakuranger was used first. MMPR got the Ninja Zords first, and the Shogun Zords second. So they start mid-season of Kakuranger, then go back to the beginning of Kakuranger for the middle of Season 3, then the final Kaku episodes at the end of the season. Confused? It gets better with the Alien Rangers. One other thing Season 3 did finally do, gave the Rangers bikes. The Shark Cycles were based off Kakuranger's Shark machines, heavily modified. The colors obviously changed to suit MMPR, and they gave them the same shark designs, while the Shark machines were based off 3 different sharks. Shark Bleeder was a Thresher, Shark Slider, a Hammerhead, and Shark Launcher, a Saw Shark. They also didn't use the sidecars. As we got closer to the end of Season 3, probably the production finally decided it wasn't worth keeping the old suits anymore. They're throwing out footage all over the place, it's getting harder to do episodes, they needed to save up money and time to build a new power chamber set and do a relaunch of the series for Zeo. So to do this, they decided to use the Kakuranger suits, creating the Alien Rangers. This was a mess all around. It's cool that the suits got used, but they had to get the Rangers out of the way, so they invented the time travel story. I didn't hate the idea of the Alien Rangers, and I like that they expanded past Earth so we know there's other people out there that are also dealing with bad guys, but it was so lackluster having only 10 episodes for this arc, gave no screen time for the new characters, and there was no other footage they could use. They were stuck with the final handful of Kakuranger episodes. All the character building episodes are gone. They need to save money, so they can't film a lot of original material. That's why the Alien Rangers control the Battleborgs outside. They probably scrapped the cockpits for space, so only 2 of the Rangers got developed. Even though they did finally use Kakuranger, most of their gear and individual weapons were ignored, and they just focused on the Zords and Battleborgs. In the last 2 seasons, Sentai named the Rangers after their animals. This time around, they kept their names simple: Ninja Red, Ninja White, and so on. Alien Rangers kept the same naming convention too. Of the few weapons they bothered to use was the Equation Saber and Equation Laser, which are called the Hiken Kakure Maru, Secret Sword Kakure Maru, and Kaku Laser, which also could separate into the Laser Knife. The Kakurangers also used shurikens shaped from their medals. The only other weapon we saw on Alien Rangers was the Equation Fist, Shinobi Knuckle, which also had a grapple attachment. The rest of the weapons were never used on MMPR. For toy collectors, the weapons the Battleborgs used were their individual weapons. Ninja Red's weapon is the Red Slicer, Ninja White, the White Beak, Ninja Blue's Blue Shot, Ninja Yellow's Yellow Claw, and Ninja Black's Black Bow. Another thing the show oddly cut out was the Shinobi Scrolls. They were mainly the item used to activate their transformations, but it also doubled as a small weapon for Ninja Red. The last few weapons they use are the Kakuranger Ball, which was an homage to Go Ranger's football finisher, the Thunder Sword Hikarimaru, and one of the very few times the franchise allowed a Ranger to use the mecha's weapon at normal size, Muteki Shogun's sword, Kaien Shogun Ken. The other series that did this are Time Ranger and Maji Ranger. Of course, the Zords are the most important part of the series. While the MMPR names for the Shogun Zords were simply their colors, Kakuranger's names are referenced to the animals they are. Red Saruder is named after Saru, which means monkey in Japanese. White Kark is an onomatopoeia. The Japanese word for crane is suru, but when you use it as a compound verb in Japanese, it can read as kaku, hence kark. Same goes for Blue Logan. The symbol used for wolf, okami, when used as a verb, it's ro. It's where Roki's name comes from in Gaoranger. Yellow Kumard and Black Gamma are easier to figure out. Kuma means bear and Gamma means toad. This also marks the first time Power Rangers retains the name of a Sentai mech, Muteki Shogun, which means Invincible Shogun. For the Falcon Zord, PR lucked out with this guy. In Kakuranger, there was no 6th Ranger, but Sei Ninju Tsubasa Maru, Sacred Ninja Beast Tsubasa Maru, acted on his own, so they were easily able to fit Tommy in as his operator. When combined to form the Shogun Mega Falcon Zord or the Ninja Mega Falcon Zord, they're referred to as Super Muteki Shogun and Super Kakure Dai Shogun. There was no Ultra Zord-like combination in this season, so MMPR recycled Titanus for this purpose. The Ninja Megazord was basically an upgrade over the Shogun Megazord. That's why the animals are the same versus a different set like they do normally in other seasons. Think of the Ninja Megazord as the Storm Megazord's lightning mode from Ninja Storm. The Shogun costume was really hard to move in, so it mainly only did finishers and talked to the Rangers. The only difference in their names is them being called God Saruder, God Kark, and so on. It's also why it's still referred to as a Shogun, the Kakure Dai Shogun, hidden great general. There's still a lot to talk about on Kakuranger. Virtually nothing of the story was used in MMPR. Not even the MMPR movie version of the story is based on Kakuranger. So in part 2, I'll be breaking down who were the Kakurangers. Was Ninja Man as weird as Ninjor? How did the villains function in the series? Was it as good as Die Ranger? Did the Alien Rangers use any of the Kakurangers' personalities? And of course, the team finishers and abilities. If you have a suggestion or a topic you'd like me to cover, leave a comment down below. I may use it next time.